caught in a net with ANet. For your mind, body, and soul, get caught in a net with ANet. It's your intellectual radio show, here to inspire you and encourage you to be your very best. Get caught in a net with ANet.
You are now tuned in to Mind, Body, and Soul with ANet, where your hosts, ANet Harris, analyze intriguing life questions and concerns, such as, do Christians suffer from mental illness? Have you wondered why they act abnormal? Or you may ask, what is really going on in their minds? Do you need ANet? Well, keep listening for a biblical understanding of the psychology of the mind.
Hey guys, welcome. This is ANet Harris. Listen, if I can tell you the issues that I have had so far this morning, this afternoon of getting on, I know you guys probably missed my entire intro on the live feed, but that's okay. I'm here and I'm glad that you are joining me on this afternoon. Listen, if I ever need to pray before my show, I'm going to pray now. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful day that you have blessed us to see. We thank you for all that you've done, what you're going to do. We ask that you would get the glory out of this session and everything we go to say and do. In Jesus' name we pray. And the opening scripture that I normally like to quote is the first part of Hosea 4:6, and it states, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee. Listen, I am so excited to be here on this afternoon in the midst of everything. And I'm more grateful for this beautiful smiling face that is sitting across from me on today, because she's a jewel. She saw all that I was going through trying to get everything set up on today. And she is just smiling and laughing with me. So that actually helps me, Angela. I just want to let you know.
Good.
How are you doing on today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm going to give God the glory and all that I go to say and do. That's what I'm going to do. Listen, guys, if you are coming on, I'm going to ask that you would go ahead and click that share button for me. Please click the share button. And let's see. And let everybody else know that we are on. Listen, I got a few things going on today. I have my guests, and then I got some other things I have to do at the end of the show that I don't want you guys to miss. So I know you guys are sending me messages. Where are you? I'm here now. I'm here. So look, Angela is a certified coach, and I wanted to highlight her on today and what she is doing. We got a chance and opportunity to kind of chat, and I'm so excited about the things that she is venturing off into, the changes that she is making herself. And I tell you, when you hear about what she's doing, you're gonna understand and know why I wanted to feature her on today's segment. So look, you've seen the promos. Come on, guys, you've seen them. And I've talked about how I was looking at her bio, and we're talking about healing and transformation. So she's a healing transformation coach. Okay. So This is kind of what we want to focus on. Now, what I want her to do is to actually come on and introduce herself to you all, tell everyone who she is. And then what we'll do, we'll have her start talking a little bit about her background and what led her to where she is. And I told her yesterday, I want her to be as transparent as she wants to be, as she can be. Because when we do that, I find that we actually help somebody else.
Right.
And we do it before we even realize, or not even realizing, should I say, that that's what we're doing, is helping someone else. So Angela, wait, before I have you take it away, let me tell you guys, again, click that share button, let someone else know that we are on. And then we will also let you know that on YouTube, Mind, Body, and Soul airs also at Intellectual Radio. So my producer, with his wonderful self, he actually goes ahead while we're on live. He puts the audio version of the session live on my YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and type in Get Caught in a Net, ANET, you should hear us there. Then at the end of the session, what we're going to do is upload the video portion after it's edited, of course, and then you will be able to you'll be able to see and hear the entire segment. So just so you'll know, so you have two ways of listening to us on today. And of course, I'm here on my Facebook page, ANet, Get Caught in a Net. And I am actually, asking again. I see you guys are sharing, so thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Yes. And then actually, I know that we are going to make sure that Angela herself is tagged so that it would be on her page as well. So Angela, why don't you take it away and kind of talk to us about who Angela Shevonne Cleveland is? And
yeah,
now that's a little insider. She and I had a little laugh about the names on yesterday. So why don't you talk to us about who you are?
Yes, thank you, Annette. Good afternoon, everyone. Again, I'm Angela Shevonne, a professional certified coach. I focus on coaching in the area of healing and transformation. So where I take my clients is from trauma to peace, while helping them create an abundant life that they deserve and desire. So when it comes to an abundant life and living your best life, like we hear that term a lot, but it doesn't really matter if you have, wealth, but if you don't have peace, if you don't have healing, if you don't have wholeness, you really aren't living your best life. A lot of times there's that deep-seated hurt that never gets addressed, right? Because we're successful in life. We're successful in our career and other areas, but we don't deal with the pain and the trauma that come from our past. So my mission is to help women, quote unquote, live their best life by creating peace through that healing. And I want to help women heal from trauma, but particularly sexual trauma is the area I focus on, but I work with whatever trauma area they may have experienced.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all you gonna tell me? No, I'm just kidding.
I do have my own story.
Yes. Okay. So that's good. I'm glad that you broke it down like that into who you are really trying to reach out to help and those that you recognize that would need, the help and assistance. So let me do this. Because
Okay.
I kind of wrote down some questions myself.
Oh, okay.
For Angela, and then maybe we can kind of start with really your background as much as you want to tell me, because I always say, and people know this, of course, necessity is the mother of all invention. A lot of times when we go through stuff, we kind of create, I don't know what you want to say, a way to help somebody else,
Yeah.
because we've been through that ourselves.
Right.
And, you know, to me, I love when people do it like that. Now, because we all go through things. Let me just
Yeah.
point that out. We
Right.
all go through things, and sometimes some things can be devastating to us. But then how we come out makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure.
It does.
And then sometimes people are thinking, okay, I went through this. Now I see you, maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's just people in general, and you don't want them to necessarily go through that or deal with what you
Yeah.
dealt with yourself.
Yeah.
And so you want to try and help them.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is where I see Angela. This is how I see Angela right now. So if you can kind of talk to us a little bit about your back, how did you even get to this point? Why do you even want to help people out that, and you said you kind of want to focus on the sexual abuse or trauma, you know, if you will. So kind of talk to us a little bit about why that's important to you, your background, your journey.
Okay. Well, can I just start with my story, and then
Please.
that'll bring it around to the why I want to help. So I chose the area of sexual trauma because that's what I experienced in life. At the age of 9, I was molested by a man that lived in my apartment building. And then again, I was molested around between 15 and 16 by my uncles and a male cousin. So these are, men in my family who should have been protecting me, but instead, they were basically violating me. So I really didn't have a safe place to go, because one of the questions I get, like, I didn't share that story until I was in my early to mid 40s. I didn't share that story until then. So the question is, well, why didn't you say anything? But I never felt like I had a safe place to go. And, my grandparents raised me part of my life, so I know they did the best they could. However, they made it clear that as children, you didn't have a voice, you didn't have an opinion, because, that's back in the day, right? Because I'm well into my 50s now. So that was, as I say, that was back in the day, but I take that as to how they grew up and how, what they were exposed to as well. So I didn't have a safe place to go in that regards. I didn't really have a relationship with my mother because my grandparents raised me. So I would spend the summer with my mother. I'd spend holidays with my mother. But even then, I still didn't feel like I had a safe place to run if I was in trouble.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So healing, was absolutely necessary in order for me to get peace in my life. And that's something I have been praying for a long time, is to be healed, is to be whole, is to be complete. And not live in a space of brokenness. Like I can remember times when, I would take like long showers because I was trying to wash the stench of sexual abuse off of me and trying to get clean. But really, I was trying to get clean on the inside and trying to get my innocence back, trying to get purity. And I would be in there, I wash, soap up, rinse off like 4 or 5 times. But, it's psychological, it's mental. So I was already physically clean. It's just on the inside, I was trying to get clean. So it's wild. I'm very passionate about this, so I might get a little emotional sometimes, and I might slip a curse word, but not intentionally. But it's wild trying to overcome that trauma. I call them trauma demons. Between that and between physical healing, I came up because I battled some sicknesses growing up. In addition to, let's see, I had spinal meningitis, bacterial meningitis, and then with the sexual abuse, the rejection, the abandonment, I had low self-esteem, I had suicidal depression that I suffered from in that process. And all of that together helped me to develop that motto, fight for your life. So, you see me tag that everywhere. And that is how I came up with that, is because I literally have been fighting for my life since I can remember, whether it was sickness or whether it was the trauma and the things tied to the trauma. Um, let's see.
Wow.
Did you want a question, or you
No,
just want
I
me to
was
keep
gonna.
going?
While you're getting the rest of your thought, I'm just like, wow. You know,
Yeah.
you had me when you mentioned about taking the long showers and trying to get that stench, if you will, off
Yeah.
of you. And whew, that
Yeah. Yeah. It's
and I felt you. I felt you when you were saying that. And
yeah.
then when you mentioned about how, you really didn't have that refuge, if
Mm-hmm.
you will, or someone to run to talk to. So I
Yeah.
can I can see the setup here. I can see the setup because you're probably like, I don't want anybody else to feel how I felt,
Right.
not necessarily having anybody to run to.
Yeah.
And honestly, Angela, I never experienced, abuse in that sense. I experienced other things, and I was honestly thinking about the young people after me and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to be that listening ear for them, wanting to be that refuge if I could.
Right.
And there was a time and point when I was in my young 20s when it seemed like young people that were younger than me, younger people like at my church and different ones, they would just come up to me and they would just tell me everything that was going on with them.
Yeah.
They just needed
Yeah.
to vent and talk. And actually, that's really what propelled me into the area of psychology, to be
Yeah.
honest with
Yeah.
you. But so
Mm-hmm.
I can feel what you're saying, and I
Yeah.
can understand. And it's sad that, because you said, how old did this initially start?
I
Were
was
you?
9 years old, the first experience. And then in my mid-teens, like 15, 16, um,
It
that
happened again.
was the next time. Yeah. Was the next few times, I should
You
say.
know, you're kind of reminding me. I had a guest on a few months ago, and or was it last year? These months are going by. Michelle Casey, and the title of that particular show was "My 8-Year-Old Soul."
Yes, I caught some of that.
Ah, see, you're reminding me of that, and
I caught some
and
of
it just tears at your heart when you hear about the children who have been, abused and or molested, if you
Yeah.
will, and sometimes by those who they know and or, like you said, trust. They were supposed to be
Yes.
protecting you.
Yes. And that's the norm. Like children who are abused, it's always someone they know. It's either a family member, a family friend, or the neighbor. So for girls, it's 1 in 3 girls is what I read the last time, and for boys, 1 in 7
Yep.
before the age of 18 will be molested.
Yeah, I was looking at some stats too, and it was pretty heartbreaking
Yeah.
to hear
Yeah.
that and to know that. Here, let me do this. I know I want you to get back into it. Let's see. Lisa says, "Hey, Angela, finally found it." Oh, I'm glad you finally found it too.
I'm
I
glad y'all
do.
finding me.
I want to recognize the rest of you that are on Facebook, and I apologize that I didn't do it before. Catherine, hey, Kmetris, thanks for joining. Demetria Triplet is on, and I know that she also has a class at the same time, so thank you for hopping in and joining in with us. Let's see. Oh, you did hear the music in the intro. Okay. All right, well, thanks. It didn't show, but thank you. Let's see, Brandy's on, and that's a birthday girl there. Karen is watching. We appreciate you. And thanks for tagging individuals, Brandy. Panel Johnson, family, my heart is going out to you. We are praying for you in the loss of your spouse. We're definitely praying. Let's see. I also see Catherine Gardner. My girl is on. Beatrice is watching. And we appreciate you. Audra, hey Audra, she says, good topic. Yeah, Pure Foy, this is a good topic.
Yeah.
And I definitely want everyone to hear about it. So again, you guys that are coming in, make sure you click that share button for me, click it, send it out, because there are more than you would even remember or know that have been affected in this sense. So we want to try and get help out to everyone that is in need of it. And Angela is here to do just that. She's telling us her story, and then we're going to talk about what she's doing to try and help those get beyond and get past it if they've experienced situations like this. So Angela, can go ahead and continue for us?
Okay. So I want to go back to the fight for your life, just on that premise, and just talk about the ways that I fought for my life, which is really by doing the hard work, and that's to get healed. And I had to get some help in that healing process. And so I want to help women the same way. And I do recall, like, in my 30s, just kind of struggling to navigate life. I was still trying to get an education. I was raising my children. And that thought was, I want to help women like me, navigate life and make things easier so they don't have to figure it out the hard way. So my desire to help women was kind of centered around that. I was going to Georgia State, I had my child, and when I moved here to Georgia, I didn't have any friends, any family. So I was just really trying to find my way on my own. And so that was my first desire, to want to help women. And then, so for my own healing, I recognized that I needed to get healthier on the inside and to kind of reap the benefits and be able to thrive. And in that sense, was to be more successful, to gain some peace. That way I'm happier and I can experience the joy that the Bible talks about.
Yeah.
Because when you have peace and joy, that the way the Bible explains it, no one can take that from you. And a lot of times we lean on other people to make us happier, when really they can. If you're not happy by yourself, you're not going to be happy with anyone else. Also with the healing, I sleep better, I'm more relaxed, I'm more calm. And I can literally, like, the space I'm in now, I can tell the difference from the space I used to be in. Like, now I'm at the place where you ruffle my peace, you try to disturb my peace, I will cut you off in a heartbeat. I don't care who you are. I don't care what the relationship is. I will cut you off because my peace is important to me.
Mhm.
And I can't have it being disturbed. Like, my family know I don't do drama. So that's the first thing. I've never have, but I would just kind of be like, I'm going to let you have that. So those things are critical to me. So I want to talk about, like, the type of work that I had to do. It started out with me treating the symptoms of the abuse. So, like, negative self-talk, low self-esteem, very little confidence. And sometimes that depends on what I was doing, but for the most part, my confidence was low. And I couldn't speak up for myself or stand up for myself. And I didn't really recognize, my own value or my own worth, or really what that is. Um, and then I didn't know what I was truly capable of. I was kind of just going with the flow of what society says I should be doing. You should, get an education. You should have a career. You should be this type of mother. So I was just kind of going with the flow of that. And I started treating those little symptoms by first buying self-help books. Like, the very first self-help book was The Power of Positive Thinking by that I purchased by what's the name? Norman Vincent Peale.
Okay.
And I remember, because that was the first thing I bought. So I was like, okay, maybe if I thought more positive. Then it was buying books on how to be more confident. Then it was how to increase your self-esteem. So I'm treating these little symptoms, and then Think and Grow Rich, Girl, Get Your Money Right, to hit these areas. And they did help some. I won't say that they didn't help any, but it still wasn't getting to the core. Right? I'm just treating symptoms here and there as I go. I got to a point where I started dealing with depression. And once I can hear myself, and I remember there were times when I said, and that's why I say suicidal depression, there were times that I said, if I was dead, I wouldn't have to worry about this. if I was dead, I wouldn't have to worry about that. And I would find myself depressed, like for days and weeks at a time. So I sought out therapy. And the thing about therapy is you got to find the right person, because I went to, I would say, probably 4 different therapists before I found one that I connected with, because I felt like that they wouldn't engage me, that they were waiting on me to kind of spill my guts and share what was on the inside versus them trying to help me get that out. And I eventually found someone that does that. And so I continue to go because I make it a part of my self-care plan. Like, self-care is crucial. So therapy once a month is a part of my self-care plan, just to touch base for maintenance. And help me, make sure I'm still grounded, make sure I'm still good. So I encourage people to go to therapy. And maybe the one you found, you're like, no, I don't want to, because they, whatever it is, it didn't work. Keep looking for the right one. Just keep looking until you find one that you really connect with. And with that therapy, there were improvements. It did help. And, like I said earlier, my prayer is to be whole, to be healed, and complete. So I was getting better and I was getting what I needed, but I didn't feel whole. I still didn't feel fully healed, and I still didn't feel like complete. So it's like, okay, I'm almost there. I recognize I'm almost there. I'm doing good. I'm successful, but I still have that little knot right there that just won't, that just hadn't gone away. So the next level, I took to the next level, and I sought out my own coach.
Okay.
And I worked with my own coach. So therapy, you go to therapy, you talk, you vent, you complain, you cry, or whatever you want to do. But when you start working with a coach is going to hear you out. But now, you know what? We're going to have to face this thing, and then we got to move past it. You will not be living in this space. So that's what a coach does. It takes you from that space and gets you moving forward in life, because you don't want to stay in that space. And 20 years later, you don't want to be talking about the same thing, right? You want to move forward in life. So once I sought out a coach, she had me go through the process of identifying the trauma again. And in identifying the trauma, basically is I was writing down and listing the trauma that I experienced, and who was involved in that, and then how it made me feel. And then I had to address it, do a lot more work and address that trauma so that I can let it go. With that took some time, and it was hard to face it again. But for me, and I had done that like once before, but in me doing it this time, I started talking to more family members, because I found that the more I talked about it, the freer I got. So I started talking like to my brother, I talked to my sister, I talked to my mother. And as I talked about it, I started feeling freer, and I started releasing that. But I also had to go to a place of forgiveness, because the forgiveness is for me. It's not for the other person. I didn't have to call that person and say, I forgive you, but I had to get the forgiveness like within, and forgive them, like truly forgive them for myself, so that I can be in a good space and really, really let that thing go.
Wow. This is some good stuff. Oh my goodness. I have a couple of questions for you real quick. Now, at what age were you when you started? Because you said you started trying to do it yourself, if you will, getting the different books, and you were treating, the symptoms of it. What age were you at that point?
I was in my probably late 30s and 40s early
Okay.
40s when I started doing that. Because I spent my 20s, trying to figure out what to do. And really I was just living, it was like I was a soccer mom, during the school year, and then my kids go out for the summer, and then I was Shevonne. That's what. Then I let that's my alter ego right there. It's also my middle name, but that's kind of how I lived my life, for a little while, and that's that brokenness in you because you don't know why you're really doing it, but that's just the space you're in, So
Okay.
yeah, in my 30s to late 30s, early 40s.
Now that's interesting. Yeah. And sometimes it may take a while for you to get from point A to point B, if you will, after you've experienced that. It's not that you're necessarily going to turn around like immediately and say, okay, I need to get help. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
then and let's throw this in, that's kind of what a coach would help you do. That's
yeah,
what a therapist and counselor would help you to do. But before they even come in, you have to yourself realize, I need some help.
yes, you got to
I'm going to
recognize it.
need, something to help me to get through this, get beyond this, because I can't just keep sweeping this. This happened to me. It was real.
Yes,
And I can't ignore it. And I shouldn't want to ignore it, because what it's going to do is going to affect the rest of my life.
it sure does. It
You know,
affects the rest of your life. And you do have to recognize within yourself, the issues that are going on because they're there, but sometimes we blame other people. Your communications aren't clear, aren't good, and then you have trust issues with people you really should be able to trust, because even for me, I would have trust issues with my family members. So I may share something with a family member, but I may not share everything with that person. I might share something different with another one, but I wouldn't give them both the same the same information because that lack of trust was there. I didn't fully trust them because they may go and tell, they're going to go tell their husbands or they're going to go tell the rest of the family or whatever the case may be. The trust, I had trust issues in that sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's very understandable. I can totally understand that. Because you think, again, we go back to, because those that you were, suffered the abuse by are
Yeah.
the individuals that you should have been trusting.
Right. I should have been able to trust them.
Yes.
Because you're my family, you should be protecting me as a male in the family at that. Then it's your responsibility to protect the women and the girls in the family.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, guys, if you're just now joining us, I do see a lot of your friends are coming on. Some said they were over on YouTube and now they're watching you here on Facebook Live. So I do appreciate all of you coming in. Again, make sure you click that share button. Laura says, I'm so proud of my cousin Angela for telling her story. And Audra says, protect your peace at all costs. That's very true. Very true. Let's see. And that was Tony that said she was listening on YouTube and now watching here on Facebook Live. Again, if you're just not joining us, we're talking today with Coach Angela. I've given her that name now. She's a certified coach dealing with healing and transformation, and more specifically, also helping women deal with sexual trauma, what they've experienced and are faced with. And she is, and I did place this in my promos, she is one that can help you to do that because she herself has experienced it. I often tell people, unless you've experienced, you really can't tell me too much about something that you haven't experienced. Now, if I go to get my hair done and my stylist hair is all over her head, I don't want her doing my hair. You know what I mean? It's just, I know that was a crazy example, but it
makes sense. It's like going to a personal trainer who's 100 pounds overweight. I get it.
There you go. There you go. So she is definitely someone that you need to listen to, link up with. If you or anyone that you know, maybe it's a child or a relative or friend that has experienced any type of trauma in their life. And she mainly focuses again on the females, the women, that you think needs to hear about her journey, and then also to maybe connect with her. Maybe she can become their coach, or maybe she can help direct them to what they need to get over and beyond. Because too often, the enemy, the devil, will go through some things, but he'll try to hold things over our head.
Right.
But we need to be pushing forward and living this life that God intends for us to live. And so we don't want anything holding us back that we have experienced in our past. If we can get that help to get beyond it so that we can move forward, this is what we want to do. Tony says here, I'm happy to let all of you know that I've looked the course and she, I took the course. I'm sorry. She looked the course. What was that?
Yeah, she took, yeah,
She took the course.
Yeah, she's actually one of my,
Okay, and it works, she said. She said it works. She works and it works. So your techniques and everything. Buddy Gil, I see you join again with us. Make sure, guys, did I mention Pastor Cece? But thank you for watching. I appreciate you. You guys go ahead, click that share button, click the share button. If I didn't call your name, it's just because I didn't see you. Dr. Shirley Hill is on. I appreciate you. And others, Carolyn Gale, I think I mentioned, she said, this is a thought-provoking topic, so needed to be discussed today. And yeah, I would agree. Angela kind of hit on a little bit of the stats. There are so many that are dealing with this than we would even realize. You that are listening to me today, you may have dealt with it personally yourself. Whether you want to share it or not, it's up to you, but we're here to help. I'm presenting Angela so that she can help you. And this is, hey, this is right up my alley, Angela, because I love dealing with, situations like this where I can, help direct someone to get the help that they need, whether it's to a counselor or a therapist or what have you. Now I have a coach I can refer them to. So
Yeah.
this is good stuff. Now, let me see. Now, out of some of the questions that I had for you, you did answer the first one, which was what kind of trauma you yourself personally experienced in your life, and whether or not these experiences, my next question, whether or not any of these experiences gave you the momentum and the drive to help others who may have experienced similar. So she shared that with us, and hopefully you guys were able to hear that. So let's talk a little bit more about the healing, because you talked about it. Why is healing so important? Maybe you can tell us from your point of view first, and then maybe generally why you believe healing is so important to help any individual move forward in life. And let me also, before you say that, if you guys have any questions or comments for Coach Angela on today, feel free, as many of you have already started, to make your comments in the comment section. I will be going back and forth and reading them as well for her, so we will get to her what you are typing in. So if you can go ahead, Angela, with that question.
yeah. So for me personally, the healing was necessary because the other areas in my life were affected, like relationships were being affected. I didn't really have a desire for a relationship, so to speak, in my 20s and my 30s, and then part of my 40s. It wasn't until like my mid 40s that I actually had a desire to be in a relationship or a marriage. But because I wasn't healed, my communication skills were not where they needed to be. I didn't know how to bring the walls down and be fully open and transparent and share in that relationship. Because, like, for me, in terms of a relationship, I would want somebody who's going to be honest. I want somebody who's going to be open and transparent about who they are, where they stand. But I myself was not that way.
Okay.
So it was necessary for me to be healed. And then when you're healed, you can move forward in other areas, because you're not being healed sometimes can affect you financially. because you're making bad decisions in that area based on the brokenness, right? Based on rejection, based on abandonment, based on other things. You're making poor decisions financially sometimes. Your health may be messed up, meaning that you're not taking care of your physical, mental, and your spiritual self. When I
Mm.
say your health, because you're not focused on, being totally like wholly healed in those areas. And then love, you can't find the relationship you want. And then you just overall don't have any peace. Like I can remember like not sleeping through the night. Like I would wake up 4 or 5 times during the night. I never would sleep during the night for something. I could never figure out why. But my mind was not at rest. It just wasn't. My brain was always on. So the healing is necessary for you to move forward in all those areas. And they consider those areas for an abundant life, right?
Mhm.
You're wealthy. You may not be, like Steve Jobs wealthy, but your money is in order. You're healthy, you're fit, you got a good spiritual relationship, you got good family and friend relationships, things like that. So all of that together helps to create that abundant life, which is something I have desired, but I still, I couldn't get to it because I wasn't whole myself.
Mm.
Um, Let me see what I wanted to say about that. It can be deceptive in that you're successful in your career and you look like you got it going on. You looking fly, you live in a nice big house, you're driving this high-end car, but on the inside at night when the doors are closed and you're at home alone, the pain is there, the hurt is there, the sadness is there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you were talking about that, about how you present yourself to people, but then what's on the inside sometimes may be different.
Hmm.
And you reminded me of many different, whether they are music artists or actors and actresses who a lot of times will share and be transparent with us about what they've been dealing with.
Yeah.
We see them on the big screen. We see them in movies, on TV shows, making music, putting out CDs and records and records. I'm dating myself. Anyway, putting out CDs.
CDs and records, whatever.
Different music projects. And they're, like you say, they're showing us, a good side.
The good side, yes. That's
But then,
Instagram and Facebook.
yeah, now that's a whole other show. But then if you follow them home, or if you take a journey with them and live follow them for one day, you will see that it's not all glamour.
Yes.
They're dealing with some things. And I was even looking at a few of the documentaries or series like Genius Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
I saw that, the 8 episodes. And oh my God, all the things that she went through, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
From the time that she was a child,
Yep. Yep.
and so a lot of times though the things that we face, the trauma or what have you, if you don't believe me, I'm telling you, it will affect your decision, your life decision, your life choices. It's going to affect it. But this is something Buddy put on here that he appreciates when a person, and I'm paraphrasing his comment, is transparent enough to share about those dark times, if you will, of their life.
Yeah.
He appreciates that, and his hat is off to you for doing that. And
Yeah.
I feel the same way. It also shows me that you're not selfish. You want to be able to help somebody else. So if it's sharing what you yourself dealt with personally,
Yeah.
you're doing that. And I believe that a lot of times when you do that, people can relate to you a whole lot easier, and then they'll start letting that little guard down, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're able to help. You're able to help them.
Right.
Able to get the help you need. I see Kmetris on here, and Kmetris is also another young lady that I've had on my show a number of times, and she dealt with abuse, being abused when she was a child.
Yeah.
A family member, someone she trusted, so I know she can fully relate to this topic of discussion on today. And Kmetris, help me out. What month is this? Is this, or was it last month? Something about some kind of abuse month. Help me out. I may be getting it mixed up. But anyway, she has her own live feed that she talks about as well about, helping people to kind of get through dealing with the abuse that they've dealt with.
Yeah.
I'm going to read some comments, and we'll come back to you with more of my questions that I have. Pastor Cece says, yes, the trauma that some experience at the hand of others is real. God help us to heal and have peace. Thank you for taking this on. Thank you. Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. I knew it was something. Thanks, Kmetris. I appreciate that. I knew I saw something actually that she posted going around on social media. So yeah, this is Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month. This is I didn't schedule Angela because of that, but this is perfect. So thank you.
The timing of it.
Right. Very, very good timing. Faye Jemison, I see you on. Thanks for watching. And let's see. Buddy says we all have masks that we put on when we walk out of our homes.
We do have a mask.
And I'm not talking about the coronavirus protection mask. He said the shame and embarrassment leaves when you are mentally bound. Ooh.
Yes, shame is huge when it comes to sexual abuse. Shame is huge.
Talk about it.
It's hard to let go of the shame, and it keeps you small because you don't want anybody to find out that happened to you, and you don't know how they're going to respond. So I later found out that one of my aunts found out what happened to me, and she blamed me. So, back in the day, I lived with my grandparents. My grandparents had a lot of kids. Some of the older ones had moved out, but some of the younger ones were still there. So, when you at quote unquote big mama's house, y'all might be sleeping 5 deep in a room, and some of your aunts and, your nieces, you got cousins. So she found out, what had happened, but she was blaming me. She wouldn't let me go to bed because remember, she's my aunt, even though she's not that much older than me. She's still my aunt, so I treat her as such. She wouldn't let me go to bed that night. She made me stand in a corner. She called me a nasty dog as if I was not the victim. And it's just, it's crazy. So that's, part of the reason why sometimes people don't speak up and they just live with that shame instead of, finding a way to release it. But I feel like the only way to release the shame is to talk about it and call people out on, I almost cursed. And call people out on the things that they've done wrong.
Right.
Because the shame, you don't want to live with shame for the rest of your life. And you can easily live with it if you just hold that in, Yeah.
And it can ruin you. It can ruin you. I often think that when people do that, like you said, she blamed you and, pretty much reprimanded you.
Right.
There's either something they're hiding themselves, or they just don't want to own up to it. Because then when you first said that, the first thing came across my mind, I'm like, okay, did he do this to anybody else? And maybe they came to her.
And actually, I found out later that he had, at least there was a question there as to, hey, what's going on in here? So, yeah.
Wow.
Found that out later.
And then, so it would be easier to blame the victim, if you will, as opposed to approaching that, I'm just going to say predator. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, okay, now wait, did you say that this was her spouse?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe could it have happened to her or anything, or she was scared to approach him.
Yeah.
It could be a myriad of things, but
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's siblings. Yeah, they're siblings.
yeah, well, my guess is that she probably knew something. That's
Probably. Yeah,
right.
probably.
Because when you get into them family secrets and stuff, my goodness, it's not so pretty. It's not pretty at all.
Right. And something you said earlier, I forgot what it was, but it kind of triggered a thought that I had in terms of, because the Bible always talk about how God will use the things that have happened in your life for good. God used everything for the good of those who love the Lord or something like that.
Right. All things went to.
And
Mhm.
right, but at one point, and when I would hear that, it would make me mad because I'm thinking to myself, really? Like, what are you going to use that for? Right? I was 9 years old. I was 15 and 16 years old. I'm being molested, but you're going to use that for what kind of good? Like, who's going to benefit from that? And so it took some time. I'm like, my innocence was stolen. It was a grown man, and that's supposed to work together for good. Like, how is that going to even happen? But I kind of recognized later, like much, much, much later, that telling my story sets me free.
Yes.
So I have recognized that. And then telling my story will give other women the courage to speak out for their own situation, women and girls, because sometimes, that's always the big thing is, why didn't you tell? Why didn't you tell? Well, there's a myriad of reasons why people don't tell. And then I'm also able to show them, even though this happened in my life, look how far I've come. Look at what I've accomplished. Look at what I've been able to do. So I'm even now I'm seeing how it can work together, for good for someone else.
Right.
I'm starting to see that. So, but
Right.
yeah, I used to
Right.
be mad about that thing when people said that. Used to make me mad. Like, really? Stop saying those cliches, and that's how I was feeling at the time.
Now, would they say this in reference to what you dealt with, or just in general? And
Just
you
in
did not?
general, like we'd
Okay.
be in Bible study and, people will share a story or something, and then someone will say that, and I'll roll my eyes and like, really? Like, okay, whatever. Yeah.
Now, let me tell you that's something you should say that, because actually that is one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. Okay. That's one of my absolute favorites. That's Romans 8:28. But let me tell you this. I told my family, I said, now we don't have to talk about this anymore. I said, but when I leave out of here, I want that on my obituary. That's my favorite scripture, because now I firmly believe it, but I can totally see the angle you were coming from in reference to that.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this happened to me. How if it says all things work together, then you're talking about that includes that happened to me, which was not pleasant. It was horrible.
And then not being able to defend yourself, because when you're a child, you're definitely defenseless.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
prey on children.
Yeah, because children are so innocent. My God, they will just, sometimes I just watch like my little cousins or different ones, nieces and nephews, and they're just innocent.
Yeah.
So for someone to take advantage of a child like that, and like you said, take the innocence away.
Yeah.
Is just, to me, it's just mind blowing. It just bogs your mind. I see some others have joined us. Let me read this comment. So many reasons why we don't tell. Oh, but thank God I'm free. That's right. Because that's something, that's what Kmetris said. I totally agree, because when you said that, when you tell your story, it's for you, because you're free. I love it.
Yeah.
And I just paraphrase what you said, but that's the essence of it. Lisa says here, my abuser told me They abused me, but I have no memory of it. Wow.
Yes. Yes.
They were trying to clear their conscience.
And that can happen. So, because even for me, like my situation at 9, I can't get a visual of it happening. And based on, like what I got from therapy and even coaching, the memory is suppressed. That at that time, it was so traumatic, your brain was trying to protect you and blocked it out. So you don't remember.
Yeah.
But sometimes, even in a group coaching I've done, like, one of the ladies remember, she had it triggered her, and she remembered, like, oh my gosh, this happened to me. But up until that point, she didn't remember it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that definitely can happen where you don't remember the trauma that you experienced because it was so traumatic. Your brain probably just kind of shut down for that time. And that was to protect you. Because, like, even now, my body and everything feels it more than me being able to remember it.
Oh, wow. Now, see, that's something to think about. That is really something to think about. And I think that also helps too, because I know, I forgot who it was. It was some maybe TV or movie star who I think they wrote a book or whatever. And they talked about how they were abused. And, I think some of the family was like, really? We didn't even know anything about it. But it was like they suppressed it. And I think when they went to therapy and, counseling and all that, for whatever reason that they had to go, that's how it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that. And Lisa, thanks for sharing that about your journey. Apostle Hunt, I see you've joined us. Thank you. I appreciate you for coming in. Shevonne, little sister, thank you for coming in. ANet is on. Thank you. Let's see. Who else? I'm trying to scroll to make sure that I didn't miss anything. I can understand what Angela is saying, but yes, God has qualified her and Kmetris, Danielle, to be able to help others. Tradana, thank you for watching. I appreciate you for coming in. Yeah, when you said, how is this going to work together for my good? Yeah, you see it now, right? But
yeah,
your 9-year-old self couldn't see it. Your 15 and 16-year-old self couldn't see it.
My 20, my 30, and my early 40 self couldn't see it either.
Thank you. Right. Because you talked about when you discovered that you really needed to try and you tried to address, like you said, bit by bit, as much as you could.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could understand how you could not relate to that scripture. It's like, what? All things work together. Oh, well, not my situation. That's not what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh, but I understand. Let me go back again. If you guys have any questions or comments while we're talking to the beautiful Angela Shevonne, Coach Angela, on today. She's a healing and transformation coach, and she focuses on women and also those who have dealt with sexual trauma. She dealt with it herself, as she's explained to us on today. So this is what we're talking about. And I just realized, let me go back up and get the name of the month that we're dealing with, that we are right on point. I also hear, now it's Child Abuse Awareness and Prevention Month, but it's also Sexual Assault and Violence Awareness Month. I didn't know that. Kmetris told me that, so I knew she would know. But yeah, this is perfect timing for this topic because unfortunately people have dealt with it far too long. They've gone through it. They've held things in, themselves, and it hasn't been addressed. So then it is affecting their life. Right. Shevonne says here, learning how to deal with it has been a powerful experience. Yeah, that in and of itself, you got to learn. I always say the quickest way to admit to get help is to admit you need it. Sometimes people don't even recognize that they need help. Sometimes they don't. They probably think that they made that life choice or that decision based off of something else, When you really, if you go and peel back them layers, maybe through counseling or therapy, you gonna find out and understand why you actually made that choice and that decision. It's
Right.
to something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is good stuff. Did you want to answer that before I go on with my other questions?
Yeah, just in the coaching itself, like I feel like now with coaching, it gives me a voice where I didn't have a voice before in terms of sharing God, right? Because a lot of times we do what we call door knocking, evangelism, and we go to people. You're supposed to go to people and share the word, and that I wasn't comfortable with.
Okay.
And I felt like, I'm like, yeah, I mean, but in this, I feel like I have a voice where I can share God through sharing my story and showing, okay, yeah, this is what happened, but this is the outcome, or this is what God has done for me, and I'm able to share, like a lot of things now that, okay, God brought me here, God brought me there. More so than just the traditional evangelism, the traditional of sharing God's word, but I can do it through my story.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I love it. This exactly, ironically, no, this is where God wanted you.
Yeah.
You're like, well, couldn't you have taken me down that other road?
Another way. Yeah. You could have gotten me there another way.
Right. Or so we think with our finite minds, right?
Right.
That's what
Yes. We think that way.
Yeah,
In our
exactly.
little
Okay,
minds.
this is good stuff. Like I told, like when she and I talked the other day, and I was telling her, I said, I always say, and I've come to this realization that what we go through ourselves, people, it's not necessarily only for us.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we should learn from it. We should, get something out of it. But, like she even brought in with the scripture, all things work together. So then we want to try and, pay it forward and help somebody else. So, because they may be going through the same or something similar, but they don't necessarily know how to get the help or how to address it themselves. So this is good stuff. Kmetris says, yes, God uses us through our stories and our testimony in and outside of the church. Yeah.
Outside of the church, yes.
I would agree. I would agree. Definitely. Okay, so we've already talked about why healing is so important. And now I did want to ask you, because this is in addition to my next question I'm going to ask you. Okay. You mentioned about how you went to therapy yourself. And you also mentioned that you need to find the right therapist, counselor, if you will.
Yeah.
Make sure you guys are on the same page, because you don't want to get linked up with somebody that you're not. And people don't really, sometimes they think they can just go to one and that therapist or that counselor is the end all, if you will, but make sure that you have someone that is going to meet and or fit your need.
Right.
You also said that you went to a coach, or you found a coach. Did that prompt you, after dealing with that particular coach, prompt you into maybe I want to do something like this?
It did. It did, but it was also on my radar already. So originally I wanted to be a health and wellness coach, because I have a strong background in that. And that's why I love Dr. Hill so much, because her and I are on the same page. But the problem, I was having trouble with finding a niche in that. So once I was doing my own coaching, and really there was an exercise I needed to do as a part of that. And it helped me to see that in the journaling and in the questions and the answers and all of what I was doing, the trauma kept coming up. And so I was like, and I told my coach, I said, well, I wanted to do health and wellness, but I can't find a niche. I'm all over the place. And I was doing the exercise you told me to do, and that trauma keeps popping up. So I guess I'm just going to do that.
Right.
She recognized immediately the value in that, in terms of how God will use me if I take that hard road versus taking the easy road. Health and wellness was easy. But if I take the hard road and address sexual trauma, then God will use me the way he wants to use me. And I will be more effective in that way. So she recognized that immediately, more so than I did. So she's all teary eyed and whatnot. I didn't necessarily see the value at that time, but I do, I saw it, but not, to the degree in which that thing can go.
Okay.
But she recognized like how far I could go with that if I took the hard road.
Wow. Wow. Now that's deep. That
Yeah.
is really deep.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of a good coach.
Yes, it is. Yes,
That's
because
good.
she don't let you take the easy route.
And that's really something to think about, just in general, in life. A lot of times, yes, as humans, we want the easy route. We don't want anything that's going to be hard and rough.
Right.
Tests and trials, going through.
Right. We want it easy.
Yeah, I mean, ask somebody that question. Do you want this hard, bumpy road? Or do you want this smooth road? And see what they say. They don't want the smooth road.
Yeah.
So I can understand what she's saying, and then you could be more effective.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if I can help one or two women here and there, I'm good with that, because I recognize, like, one of my clients was on, so she told you that. And I was going to share that as a story, but I wasn't going to name her. But she
Right.
already did it, But she shared with me like how she could see the transformation in herself. Like, she was good at standing up for other people, but not good for standing up for herself. And she's able to do that. She'll stand up and speak for herself. And she also recognized some traumatic experiences that weren't on her radar doing that process. So my coaching program is a 12-week program, and like we're digging in to the hard stuff during those 12 weeks.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
May not feel good digging in there,
Yes,
but I
it
tell
don't.
you, once you get to the end, it should help. It should help.
Yes. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
great. This is great. I want to read some more. You guys, I thank you for throwing in comments. And I do, again, thank you for sharing and tagging. If you haven't done so, please make sure you do. Dr. Hill says, I know we are focusing on women, but that is often how young men become homosexual, through molestation. They think this because the experience may have been pleasurable. This has come through conversations with young men who have experienced this act. That's a very good point. That's a good point. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is the case. And I've seen it. You probably have seen it as well. But yeah, this is why it is so important, my God. This prevention month that we're in with the child abuse. That's why it's so important to hop on that and do what we can to bring awareness to it, and then to stop that horrid action.
And it's not just girls. And I recognize that, because I get that question, like, so do you work with men? I really don't, because as a woman, I can't relate to you as a man in that space.
Yeah.
But you do have to, I was thinking about this today, like, unfortunately, you have to watch your children's interaction across the board. Fathers and daughters, cousins, relatives, close friends, best friends. You really have to watch that interaction across the board. I don't want y'all to be paranoid and freaking out about your children being with your other family members, but you need to keep your eyes open and be mindful, because there are stories where fathers are molesting their daughters. I remember Kiki Palmer shared that she was molested by a girl cousin. I remember Common, he had a repressed memory, and he realized that he had been molested as a boy. So you just have to protect your children in all just in all aspects of it. I know that's your sister, I know that's your brother. You just need to still keep your eyes open and be aware of changes that may occur, in your children, because you want to be able to trust your family.
Mm-hmm.
But as you see, they can be violators.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna throw this in there, but which 9 times out of 10, they've been violated themselves. So unfortunately,
Yes,
as
unfortunately, some of them have been violated too, and they pass that on, but you don't have to pass that on.
right, you don't have to, which is why it's good that you are in the position that you're in as a coach, because you're trying to help those who have been abused, who have suffered from the sexual trauma, so that they won't continue on with it. Unfortunately, those who have been abused that continue on that horrid cycle, they never received any kind of help. They never received any kind of therapy or counseling,
Right.
or coaching, if you will. So, my mind is it just works kind of different from people. I'm always thinking about both sides of it, not giving an excuse at all
Right. No
to
excuses.
abusers, but there is a reason for their actions. There is a reason that they did it to somebody else or did it to someone.
Yeah.
Because of either what they saw or they experienced.
Yeah.
Some think because of what they saw, this is the way I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to abuse
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to abuse men or
Yeah.
whatever because of what they've seen and or experienced themselves.
Right.
So this cycle's got to stop. And I hope that this subject is helping someone on today as we're talking. Sherry, I see you on, and I thank you for watching. Brandy's comment here: for the past 5 or so years, I have been strongly considering getting a coach, but my brain keeps talking me out of it. It wasn't until I was trying to talk a friend into getting counseling and getting frustrated at their almost identical excuses did I realize how foolish and counterproductive I was being. Now that is a transparent statement.
Thank you, Brandy. Yeah. And our brain will talk us out of it because it's uncomfortable and you don't want to be judged. You don't want people to look at you sideways because of what you're saying. And that's why some people don't go to therapy, because they're afraid of being judged. They're afraid of, the therapist. I remember I've gone to therapy before. They do that intake process and they'll ask you all these questions. Do you have this in your family? Do you have that? And so by the time I finish, poor lady, she said, is there anything else? I said, no, that's it. She said, wow, that's a lot.
Wow.
So you don't want to be judged, you don't want to. So I get why they don't want to, sometimes don't want to go, but yeah, you need to go to therapy anyway.
Right. I mean, if somebody say something like that, you're like, really? Okay, I'm leaving,
Oh, I had one tell me one time my family was cursed.
Are you serious?
I did. After we did that same kind of intake, because I'm trying to find the right therapist. After we did that same kind of intake process, she's like, "Oh, your family cursed." Like, really?
And she thought that was okay to say?
I don't think she meant to say it out loud.
I mean, because you think this is the area that you're in, so of course you're going to come across all kinds
I know.
of situations.
I think it was just shocking to have so many type of situations in one family. She said normally there's like 2 or 3 different types, because they talk about, she asks you all kind of questions, but not almost everyone. So,
right.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot. I was like, oh
I guess you got out of there quick, fast. So I won't be back no more.
I thought it was kind of funny myself. Like, oh my
It's
God.
good. You kind of laugh about this a little bit, but yeah, make sure you get the right one, guys.
Yes.
I'm telling you. Let's see. Tony says here, it doesn't feel good going through it, but you will get through it. Have patience with yourself as you work through the healing process.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. That's good. Let's see. Look at Donnie McClurkin too. Yeah. I was just listening to Dr. Hunt on this morning. Some of you that are on Facebook Live know who I'm referring to. And he mentioned about Pastor Dottie McClurkin and about how the abuse, because of what he suffered, he doesn't necessarily see, and I hope I'm getting this right, what he said. He doesn't see how he could, I guess, marry of the opposite sex now because of what he went through. I hope I'm getting that right. Y'all correct me. But in other words, basically what he dealt with, the abuse he suffered, it's lingering in his mind, and it has affected his decisions,
Yeah.
later in life.
Mm.
I'll just say it like that. How about I wrap it up like that? Because I probably misquoted him. Let's see here. Parents have a responsibility to protect their children. Totally agree. Thanks, Kmetris. Especially since society and schools are, did I miss something? Oh, I think I missed something that you said earlier, Dr. Hill. I see the remnant of your message. Let's see. That definitely it wasn't the right therapist. And they're saying, no, that was horrible. That therapist saying that to you.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, Brandy said that definitely wasn't the right therapist for anyone, not just for you. Okay, let's see. Who else is on? Deborah, you finally came in. Thank you, sis. I appreciate you for coming in and watching. He said he can't have a successful relationship because of it. Thank you, Tony. I knew it was something. That was about Pastor Donnie McClurkin.
Okay.
And then it would actually explain to me, because I've often wondered down through the years why he hadn't really had a relationship that we've seen, successful relationship.
Yeah.
Myself. So that would answer that. Elder Kevin McGee says, a good coach is great, but having a great support system supporting you through your therapy is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good point. That's a good point. Let's see. He can't see himself ever getting married. Yeah. So you guys knew what I was talking about with Pastor McClurkin. And I think that's so sad. That's so unfortunate. He's a very successful man in his industry. To not be able to share it, with someone because of what happened to you is pretty sad.
Yeah.
It's sad.
That is.
So let's see here. Let's get to that took us around the block, didn't it? Because I said I was going to ask you in terms of coaching for yourself, what do you hope to accomplish as a certified coach of healing and transformation? What do you really hope to accomplish? We've heard from one of your clients, and we appreciate her for sharing that and being transparent. But what do you hope to accomplish? I'm sure you hope to not accomplish what that coach said to you by running people away.
No. So for me as a coach, healing to me is the most important thing. So if I can help you heal, then for me, that's the most important thing. And so
Okay.
that's what I want to accomplish. And how you have visions, but I can see myself, trying to heal women like around the world. So I'm hoping to be able to do that, and not just in the Atlanta area, but help women heal, across the globe.
Beautiful. I love that. I love it. You're taking your pain and turning it into a purpose.
Yeah.
And that may sound cliche-ish, but you are doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's critical. Walking in your purpose is really critical, because that's where you find your peace.
Yeah.
Is doing that. And it feels different than working your job or doing other things. You may like them, but when you're actually in your purpose, it feels different.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just overall in general within yourself, it feels different. Like, I like what I was doing as a job. I enjoyed what I was doing, but it's like, but this, I can go for hours and I'm comfortable, I'm relaxed, so I definitely feel I'm walking in the purpose.
Okay. Love it. I love it. I love it. Let's see here. Anybody else on here? You can continue to make comments. I'm going to go back and forth. But thank you for that, talking about what you hope to accomplish, because it's good for others to hear that. There may be some that are on here now who are listening to you. They may not say anything on the comment section, but they will
Right.
probably contact you themselves. And knowing that there is someone that can help them through it, walk them through it, is what's key and what's important. Before we go further, I'm going to try and maybe type as you're talking. How can they locate you if they are looking for a coach? They've heard you on today. They can relate to what you're talking about,
Yeah.
and they realize that they need to reach out to you, Coach Angela. How can they do that?
My everything is my website is www.angelashevonne.com. My Facebook is Angela Shevonne. My Instagram is Angela Shevonne. So it'll be easy. It'll be
Okay.
easy to find me. And they can schedule a discovery call right now. The discovery calls are free. Notice I said right now.
Right now. So you better get on it today, guys.
The discovery calls are free, and it's 30 minutes, and they'll have to fill out a form, and then when we get on the call, we'll discuss what it is they want to do.
Oh, I love that. All right, y'all hear that now? She said discovery calls right now are free. So what I did, I typed in, or I tagged her in the comment section so that you can go to Facebook, friend her, reach out to her. I've also put her let me see if I can pin this so that we can make sure that it's at the bottom. I've also placed her website, Angela Shevonne, which is her name.com.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And then she's also on
Facebook and Instagram.
right. I know she's on Instagram, and as Angela Shevonne, so you can, and she's made it simple, as she stated, using her name to be able to contact her. Okay, guys. So I wanted to make sure that was noted in today's segment of how you can contact Coach Angela.
Yeah, and there's a link on either one of those locations. You'll find a link to schedule the call.
Oh, wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As I'm talking, I'm trying to multitask, and I'm going to see if I can put the link to her IG account in the comment section as well, so that you guys will be able to get to her. You won't have any excuse. You won't listen to that talking in your head telling you that you don't need to. I'm messing with Brandon, but I love it. I love it. Okay, so
see if I can get the link for you.
Copy URL. Yeah, I'm just putting it into the comment section here so that we will everybody will be able to get to it. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys. So let me see, what else do I have here? Because I do have a spoken word that I want to play before we end on today. Let me make sure my questions. I did put it into the comment section, your IG account.
Okay.
Let's see. Ooh. Okay. Well, this is kind of simple enough. How would you approach anyone who actually needs your coaching, but they haven't reached out to you? They won't reach out. Maybe again, we're going back to they're listening to the voice in their head, telling them not to. How would you approach anyone? I mean, you see probably what they're dealing with, or you just kind of know, maybe they've dealt with some things and you could help them. How would you approach them?
I think initially what I would do is just share my story, because you have to, one, establish a trust factor. Like, why should I even listen to you? Because what do you know? So, especially when it comes to sexual trauma and getting help, me being able to share my story sets the foundation and will set the tone of not just me just, pushing you into letting me coach you. But you recognize that, okay, yeah, she's been through some of what I've been through. She had those same experiences of, low self-esteem or not valuing my worth, or, not having confidence. So I can share that I've experienced those things and I know what they feel like. And I know what I call the destructive time periods in my life and what that looked like in terms of just being out there and not really being healed and whole. So I would share my story first. And then, and really to get them, they're going to have to make up in their mind they want to get help. Because I can drag you along, but me dragging you is not going to help you if you're fighting all the way. You got to make up your mind you want to get help. You got to be willing to do the work. Like, you got to want to get help just as much as you want to breathe. Otherwise, you're just going to stay in that cycle. You're going to keep repeating this. Some things will get better, some things will get better, but you'll still be in that cycle. But instead of just focusing on, let me heal this piece right here, and it's going to expand in the other areas because you're going to be a lot more confident. I speak up now. And it was funny because I was telling one of the groups I was in how I had a supervisor who I named Elsa because she can be mean. We call her the ice princess. But, one day she was, she basically embarrassed me in front of people, but then turned around and apologized in private. And I was one of those people who don't like conflict, good, bad, or indifferent. I don't like any kind of conflict. But God had that thing in my head, and it was, resonating on my heart for some reason. Well, the door opened, and we had a check-in one day, and she was telling me about something that she was doing and something about psychological safety and some other stuff she was saying. And so I reminded her, on such and such a day, you did this, and you did it in front of, and I started naming everybody in the room. But then you turn around and you apologized in private. It doesn't have the same effect. And so back in the day, I would have never been able to do that. I would have never been able to do that. I would have sucked it up. I would have been mad, and I just would have been carrying that thing with me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So getting that help, I would definitely try to, encourage them to let me help them, through sharing my story and then showing them what could be on the other side.
Okay. Being able to relate to them. And
Yeah.
we talked about that earlier in today's session. When people are able to relate to you, then they can understand, or their guard can kind of slowly go down.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that approach that you said. Talk to them about you and your journey first. And they'll be like, oh, wow, man, that happened to me, or I can understand, she gets it, or
Building
whatever.
that trust.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. Beautiful response. Buddy says, some time ago, I learned this phrase in business: facts tell, stories sell. Telling your story may help someone to see themselves in you, and it allows them to be able to relate and be comfortable in the journey with you. Testify, tell your story. I love it. Thank you, Buddy. That was a good summarization of what you just said.
That was good.
Yeah. Buddy's on point. Buddy get on here. He talking like he a professor or something, He does say here, once again, I'm certain that you have helped someone somewhere. Blessings to you both of you ladies. Oh, God bless you too, Buddy. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, this could be for your mama, your sister, your niece, your friend, whoever that you feel would benefit from listening to this session on today. I do strongly encourage you to tag them in this video. They can always watch the replay. I know we're about to end shortly, but they can always watch the replay. They can always listen back to it. And then, even if they do have questions or comments for Coach Angela, I'm going to encourage her to maybe go back to the live feed at some point and see if there's anything that people have for her. Or if I see it, maybe I can tag your name in it, and then you can come in and respond to it. But this has been great. I'm telling you, on today, my heart just goes out to individuals who have suffered, abuse, sexual abuse, sexual trauma.
Right.
Angela, when I was kind of looking at some stats on some things, and I noticed on some of the stats they talking about, and I'm going to see if I can pull it up. There was something that caught my attention when it talked about, let's see. This was from the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you looked at that, any stats from that or not, but one of the things when they were given the stats, so like in 2010, it says nearly 1 in 5 women, this was in 2010, nearly 1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men in the United States have been raped at some point in their lives, including completed forced penetration, attempted forced penetration, or alcoholic facilitated completed penetration. The one word that kept catching my eye was completed. Yeah. And I never knew that they kind of separated it like that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, okay, what? Well, attempted and then actually completing it. So looking at these stats, that just blows my mind. That really blows my mind. In 2015, it had approximately 1 in 5 women. And let's see, did they give the men? 2.6 of United States men. Okay. And then in 2018, a little bit more current, 37% of the total violent victimization experience was identified as rape, sexual assault, robbery, or aggravated assault. So they kind of did a general synopsis there. But it just blows my mind. All these, and everybody's not reporting it.
Right. That's what when you were saying that, that's what I was thinking about. Did it mention like how many don't report it? And they don't report it because, especially for women, is the shame that's tied to it, or the woman gets blamed like, well, look what you had on, or why would you be in that environment, with so many boys or men, or so she tends, I was reading about, like the women who are raped on college campuses, and that's kind of the feedback they get is like, is your fault because you shouldn't have been there in the first place. So that's, a lot of why it doesn't get reported, because they end up getting, it gets turned on them.
If I can say this, and I'm probably gonna get myself in trouble, but for somebody to say that it's your fault because of how you were dressed is so ignorant to me. Yeah. And very idiotic to say. So you're giving license to the abuser because of what she had on?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
That's not right. What if it was you? What if it was your daughter? Whoever is saying that.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about it further before you start saying stuff like that. That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry, I had to get that off my chest. Listen. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to play a spoken word that was penned by Elder Kevin McGee. He has a show with Intellectual Radio as well entitled Connections, and he comes on Saturdays at 12 noon Central Standard Time. Now, let me see if I can get this right. We had so many things going on earlier today. I want to play this and allow you all to hear what he has shared with us on today.
trying to get back in this game of life, reinsert myself into everyday challenges and grab hold to those things that life has to offer. I'm eager to get back in the swing of things, so I yell to the coach, put me back in the game. Put me in the game, coach. I can handle it now. But the coach looks at me and tells me that I'm not ready. Not ready until I overcome the blow that has given me a life concussion. Deal with those things that have sidelined me in the first place. Many times we want to get back in the game, but we're still hurting, never heal from past injuries. And this euphoric feeling that makes us think that we're ready is just an illusion to mask pain, abuse, rejection, and failures, slamming all of those into a locker without any cleansing. And even though we give the appearance that all of those things are over with, the stench is still there. And so the coach wants to work with us one-on-one, go over the plays, watch the instant replays, see what things went wrong, and then make adjustments so we can overcome. And then we may find ourselves in a place where we won't have to ask to be put back in the game. But the coach will look at you and tell you to go on ahead and get that touchdown.
All right, Elder McGee, you did it again. You did it again. This was great. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you for sharing with us here at Mind, Body, and Soul. Tries to do it on a weekly basis. That was deep. They're snapping their fingers on here. You guys, they're doing their virtual snaps. Yeah, coach says, put me in the game. Once the coach understands and know that you can play. Coach will put you in at that point. Yeah. This is great stuff. Great stuff. Angela, I appreciate you again. Oh my God, this has been wonderful. You have come in. I'm just gonna tell y'all, listen, when I first reached out to her, she was a little nervous. I said, honey, child, you will be just fine.
And honestly, I didn't know what you wanted to talk about because I thought you wanted to talk about something else.
Oh, that is funny. That's funny.
No,
honey, I want to talk about you.
2020 experience.
About your what?
2020.
Oh yeah. Now that was another aspect of it. But I really did want to focus on this coach because I thought it was so important. And it worked out because again, I didn't know that this was the month for the prevention and all of that, the child abuse prevention and different things like that. So this worked out just fine. So I appreciate you for coming in. And we have discovered, I'll tell no, she wants me to share. We have discovered that we are related. We are related. So on our father's side, right?
The Gastons,
Yes, the Gastons. So this is a relative of mine that I've just found out. So I did try to tag some of our cousins, our family, into this live feed. So hopefully they'll be able to watch it later as well. And so we're going to have you back to talk about your 2020 experience because she did go through some things herself and she also had some health challenges. And I have been following her on that in our family group. So we are appreciative and thankful to God for what he's been doing for and through her. So yeah, we have to have you back. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, great. Listen, guys, I want to thank all of you on today for helping me out, for joining in, for your participation, your questions, and your comments for my guests, and welcoming her in, I always say mind, body, and soul style. I thank you all for doing that because she was a first-time guest. So that means she's not a novice anymore. So when she comes back.
Next time I'll be more ready.
No, you were perfect. You were perfect. They're saying on here you're a great guest and you were awesome. So yeah, they've enjoyed you.
Thank you.
I say, yeah. So this is great stuff. So I know we're going to end with her. You guys don't go anywhere. I have something that I need to do real quick before I actually end the show. So do not go anywhere here on this Facebook Live. Something that I need to take care of. That I want you guys to be a part of. Let me see here. I'm looking here. Oh, Lisa said, great job, Angela. And Buddy says, another great show. Again, guys, make sure you share this. make sure you share this as I'm transitioning to try and get this other thing set up for me on today. I have, God bless you, says Catherine. Catherine, honey, I appreciate you. You don't know I love you. That's my girl. That's my girl. All of them, they've been on here today. And I hope I did not forget or didn't miss any comments in here. So if I didn't read your comment, if I didn't recognize you, charge it to my head, not my heart. Just, moving through and just trying to see. So I'm actually talking and scrolling through to make sure.
Oh, I get it. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do both.
Right. Exactly. All right, cool. All right, so this is good stuff. I am actually, hey, we're gonna get set up here. I got something else. Guys, don't go anywhere on Facebook Live. Angela.
Get caught in a net with